Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Excited to be here today. We got a big show. Very excited. My good friend Charity Linch has a big announcement today, and it's an important announcement not just for Oklahoma but for the country. I think it's a really big deal, and it's symbolic. It's symbolic of what Donald Trump is facilitating here, right? So Trump comes into office, and he fought the establishment. He come in. He was the people's candidate. And he's successful in that. He was successful in getting the position, doing all this, despite the best efforts of the entire establishment opposing him. But he was able to do it. So we see the grassroots rising all over the country, and Oklahoma is a case study. They're doing it right. They're doing it through the Freedom Brigades, and it's been a wonderful go. So I'm excited to talk about that. And we also have our friend Wayne Hill's going to be here, and we got a bunch of people. So we got a big show talking about this. We also have a few other things talking about that I want to hit real quick. There was a study that I've got out on Twitter today. Turns out that according to a Cleveland Clinic study, the employees at the Cleveland Clinic who were mandated to get the flu shot, they got the flu shot. And if you got the flu shot, they were 27% more likely to get the flu than the people who didn't get the flu shot. So the flu shot actually increased their likelihood of getting the flu, much like the COVID vaccines. I'm starting to see a pattern here, yet they keep telling us. Now we think about that. Now think about that in terms of this MMR crap going on in Texas. You got the measles outbreak down there that's really done nothing. The 2 deaths have been because of medical malpractice. It's measles. It's not a big deal. But man, making a big deal, using it to push MMR. Well, it's an interesting thing because do you know, guys, are you aware? I'm aware. I did the homework. Do you know that there have not been zero randomized, double-blind, wide clinical trials against placebo for these MMR vaccines? None. They don't, they say follow the science, but they didn't follow the science because there's no science to back up what they're saying. The MMR vaccines are nonsense. We don't, maybe they work, maybe they don't work. But I will say this, if they worked well, wouldn't you think that the vaccine companies would do an absolute risk reduction study? Don't you think that they would do some of these studies to shut up us anti-vaxxers? I mean, I would if I were them, but clearly they don't want to do that. Why? I don't know. Anyways, I was I wasn't a little disappointed. I was extremely disappointed in Bobby yesterday, putting out that the best way to stop MMR or vaccine measles is through the MMR vaccine. There's no evidence to back that. If he's going to follow the science, he needs to follow the science. There's no evidence to back that statement. And he knows it. I mean, you don't have to be an HHS director to know this. You can do the work without being there. There's no data suggesting the MMR vaccines are safe or effective. Yeah, if there was, people would do these studies. They do these, but they're not there, and there's a reason for it. So, anyways, vaccine nonsense. Get the flu shot, get the flu, and grassroots. Big things happening. So. I want to hit a few things, but before we get into the show, of course, I got to grift a little bit. So please make sure you support us. GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw. GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw. We need monthly donors. Please become a recurring donor. We need your help. $20 a month makes a big difference to us. It really does. And we're grateful for anybody that does help us. And also consider going to TomRens.com. TomRens.com. You have to type it in. You can't Google it. If you Google my name, all you get is hit pieces. But if you go there, go to TomRens.com, go to our shop, and then go to affiliates and partners, and go down here a little bit and go. And I want to highlight Cardio Miracle right now. Cardio Miracle, great product. I use it myself. Really a phenomenal product. Help. Honestly, I don't think I could spend enough time going over all that this does, but it is a wonderful product. Of course, it affects your heart and helps with your heart, but it just does a ton of things. Great product. So make sure you're checking that out. And then One of our sponsors today, a wonderful new company that I absolutely love, and that is Home Title Lock. And, here's the thing. So, do you guys know this? There's this new scam out, right? And what happens is the bad guys, they come in and they file a single paper. All they have to do is one paper, right? They steal your home right out from underneath you is what they're doing. But they file one paper with a fake stamp and a small fee, nominal. Doesn't even, they file that at the recorder's office, and then guess what happens? They have title of your house. They can actually take the title of your house by filing this one paper. It's insane. So then once they have that, they can take out loans using your equity as collateral. They can even sell the property behind your back. It's absurd what they can do. One paper, folks, one. So you don't even know this is happening until all of a sudden you start getting these collection notices. And depending on the state you're in, fighting this, it can be a nightmare. So when's the last time you checked your home title? How do you know if this is happening to you? Well, if you're like me, the answer is never. I'd never checked. And I'm a lawyer and I should know this stuff, right? Now, the FBI, by the way, there's a title. The FBI calls this home stealing. Home stealing is a real thing. You've got to watch it. But if you're not checking your title, you're not going to know what's happening. That's where Home Title Lock comes in. Their $1 million triple lock protection helps keep your home and equity safe. Here's what you get: immediate 24/7 monitoring of your property, urgent alerts if there are any changes, and if fraud should happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title at no additional cost. And here's the best part. I've teamed up with Home Title Lock to give you a free title history report so you can find out if you're already a victim and access your personal title experts. A $250 value just for signing up. Just go to HometitleLock.com, HometitleLock.com, and use my promo code RENZ250, 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 or click on the link in that description. It's the HometitleLock.com. Use promo code RENZ250 and get the protection, peace of mind you deserve. Protect your house. There really are people stealing houses. It's insane, but it's the world we live in. All right. I want to bring on my friend Charity Linch, the only, well, we've established one of two honest members of the RNC in the entire country. We're hoping to find more, but right now we've only established it. How are you doing, Charity?
Hey, Tom, I'm bringing another one from the RNC next week. Wait till you meet. We have another honest one. There's actually several. I can't wait
we'll
to
be
prove
up to three. We'll be up to three.
Hilarious.
It's like a running count, right? So for anybody that doesn't know, Charity is currently the National Committee Woman Rep from Oklahoma for
Right.
the GOP, GNC.
Well, GNC. Not for GNC, right?
Yeah, GOP.
Right.
And it has been kicking butt and actually trying to push the Republican Party to be MAGA and to be conservative and to be all the things that we would hope the Republican Party is. Yeah, big news though. What's up?
I do. So this party is while the Grassroots, and it's not me, it's a team of people. And the Patriots in Oklahoma have been amazing, and they have taken back the party. But we have missed one final strand of it, which has been the chairman. And so we've got we actually currently have the worst chairman I think we've ever had. He is the worst leader I have ever seen of any organization, and I can go into example. Yeah. And so I'm running for chairman of the party so that we can take it back and have some common sense integrity in place.
Now, I want everybody to hear this. Okay. So this is a huge, huge deal. The state party leaders are literally some of the most important people in the country, and people don't understand how this works, right? So you say, how do we get these rhinos, these Mitch McConnell rhinos all over the country? Well, because the state party endorses rhinos.
That's right.
The state party backs rhinos. The state party is not representing the mega base. They're representing the rhino leftist lunatic infiltrators. You get a person like Charity, you put her into a position where she can actually ensure that we have MAGA Republican, pro-Trump, pro-America first people. That's a game changer, folks. I mean, she can't control every vote. She doesn't have control over the people, but she can make sure that the candidates are vetted and that the Republican Party is actually backing Republicans rather than Democrats pretending to be Republicans.
Well, this is what the party needs. We had a chairman a few administrations ago that was a MAGA America First patriot. He actually endorsed Jackson Lawmeyer against James Lankford in the primaries, and they lost their mind over that. But he came in and he was an amazing leader and patriot. But we haven't seen one since, and it's time that we take back the reins and take the party back.
Well, Oklahoma is the reddest state in the union. We have to do, if we can't take Oklahoma back, you might as well forget it. It's lost. And, but I mean, that's right. That's the Freedom Brigades. That's what we've been doing. That's why we've been pushing the Freedom Brigades. That's why the Freedom Brigades are so important. This is the grassroots rising, and this is led by you. I mean, you're kicking butt on it, Charity. So I'm super proud of you. I mean, we're very excited for you. Normally I'd say I'd come down and register as a Democrat and vote for you 8 times, but I can't do that. So, I mean, in this case, I'll have to come down and, I don't know, register as a rhino and vote for you 8 times. Does it work that way?
Well, the rhinos do play a lot of games. Who knows what they're up to?
I have to come down there and register as a rhino and then play parliamentarian games for the next month so that you can't actually get it's absurd the way that these people work. But, but hey, much to their chagrin, you got into the National Committee woman seat. And I think even worse, you get this promotion to the state chair. I'm very excited for you.
We currently have a vice chairman that is MAGA patriot, and they have the word that they used was bifurcated. And they have nothing to do with him. They ignore him completely. And he is still kicking butt and doing so much as he helps to lead this movement of grassroots. They hate him. And so guess what, Tom? He's running again. I'm excited.
Well, let's bring him on.
All right.
And Wayne, how you doing today?
Wonderful, Tom. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing very, very well. And I'm glad to hear you're running again. I mean, if we've got a chair and a vice chair, and you know what? Let's bring John on as well. I mean, let's just bring Oka. Look at this right here. This is the leadership team that can and should help lead Oklahoma back into being a true mega red state. Right? No more tranny stuff in the schools. No more, perversion with the kids. We get things straightened out. We start pushing for health freedom. Getting rid of the corruption. I mean, this right here, folks, is the team, right? This is the crew. So let's talk about it. What's up? What are we doing? Wayne, you've been fighting like hell anyways. And John has been fighting for Oklahoma for years in a number of capacities. I mean, he's been kind of all over the place. So let's talk about it. What do we got to do to save Oklahoma and make it the shining example of what MAGA can and should do in a state?
Tom, what we bring to the table is we bring passion. The grassroots brings individuals that have realized what's happened to President Trump on a national level, and they're seeing these same things are occurring at the state level as well. You mentioned earlier that Oklahoma was the reddest state. Absolutely agree. 77 counties, all 77 counties voted for President Trump 3 times. But our state legislature does not reflect that. So my concentration has been on the state legislature and protecting the state authority, 10th Amendment, the 9th and 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. And so we've made tremendous progress in turning rhino establishment legislators into some of the most powerful people in our state legislature. We have primaried them and we've defeated them. They've brought to the table $300,000 to $500,000 for their campaigns in a primary. But yet what do? We bring to the table 30, 40 people every weekend that knock on doors to primary these individuals. We beat the Senate Pro Tem, the elect Senate Pro Tem. We beat several individuals of committees in the House. And what you're seeing is a trend of their voting pattern is changing. And there's some other things that have contributed to that.
Well, that's huge, and this is the key, right? So I understand, folks, nationally, on a national level, what's occurring is the states have individually been bought off, and every state's bought off by its own crew. But a lot of the billionaire globalist elitists realize that it's a lot cheaper to buy off states than it is feds, right? The federal government is, you got to be the elite of the elite of the elite to be able to influence the federal government, because the cost is so high. I mean, look at Bill Cassidy, the crooked senator from Louisiana that lied to Bobby about the vaccine stuff during his hearings. I mean, this guy took $2 million from pharma over the course of a couple of years. $2 million, times 100 senators, times 435 House reps, times whatever bureaucrats and whoever else. I mean, to get a seat at the federal table is huge. It's much less expensive to control the states, and so the billion and states are huge. They're huge economic powerhouses in and of themselves. So there's been a huge push to take these states. Plus, then they can use the states to influence the Fed. So I mean, there's a lot of reason to do that. But when you talk about these Senate races, Senate pro temp, things like that, it's crazy because you'll see a massive amount of money for a local state race like that and coming in. And it's because some billionaire globalist nutbag wants to influence, and they know they can influence that with $100,000. Whereas, to try and influence anything in the U.S. Senate may cost them, tens of millions of dollars. So what are you guys seeing about that? And what's the plan? What are we going to do when we have a Linch and Hill chair, vice chair? And John, you're still elected member, right? You're still in the state legislature.
No, term limited myself out a couple years ago, and then I got recruited reluctantly at the time to run for state chairman.
Yeah,
which I did because I felt that the Lord was calling me to do it. Matter of fact. I'm a pastor. My church was Lee Creek Assembly of God Church. And when January 6th happened, I hadn't been out of the legislature very long. And I told them, you got to get out of the four walls of the safety of this church, be the hands and feet of Jesus, and make sure we elect the right people to office. Quit
Amen.
Sitting in here and doing nothing. It's our fault. And it's like the Lord hit me with a 2x4 immediately and was like, hey, how about you lead by example? And literally within days to a week later, I'm getting calls about running for state chairman.
Yeah.
And even then, I knew the Lord was calling me to do it. But even then, I was like, I don't know, but I really don't care for politicians or getting involved again. But I felt like I had to, I needed to, so I did.
Yeah.
I did that for a while. Then I ran for Congress, and they spent a ton of money attacking me and making sure I didn't make it to Congress for the U.S. Congress. And then during that whole transition, Ecclesiastes in the Word of God says there's a season for everything. Yeah. There's time for love, time for peace, time for war. And during that time in my life, my season was, in my own words, was kicking the door open to the state party and throwing a hand grenade in the room. Yeah. And exposing everything, kind of like President Trump did. Yeah. And he exposed all the rats in the swamp, and they come out of the woodworks against me. And I realized, as you were alluding to a while ago, it's a bottom-up party. It should be. That's the way our founders made it. The people have to be in charge, and it's flipped itself upside down. And people today don't even know anymore, for the most part, what their real authority and power is. So I went around as a chairman, went around the entire state saying, hey, all you counties, all you precincts, you got to vet these Republicans at the local level first. Yeah. Get the right Republican in there according to our values, and that are adhering to the platform of the Republican Party, which is based off biblical values, by the way, in our Constitution and Bill of Rights. And I said, you got to vet them there and pick a side. You got to pick somebody. And oh my goodness, they were like, you can't tell them that, you can't do that. I said, is it a rule? And they said, no, it's not a rule. I said, then I can do whatever I want. I said, if you don't like it, then get a rule passed through the committee, the state committee.
Yeah.
And now I even endorsed in the U.S. Senate primary. I endorsed the challenger against the incumbent, and they really lost their minds then.
I'll bet they did. Jackson's a good dude too.
Absolutely, and we've become real good friends. But he was the right guy for that time for sure. So I endorsed him, and all of the Rhino establishment was exposed. They come after me like you wouldn't believe, which showed me that they had power and control over the state party, which was leveraging and supporting these Rhino establishment folks. So during that time that I left the state chairmanship to today, I worked with Charity, worked with Wayne, and so many other patriots all through the state. And basically, we wiped out from the precinct level up to the state level throughout the entire party. We started replacing all those Rhino establishment folks at the precinct level and county level, and then brought them all to the convention, all to the state committee, and then to the convention, and completely blindsided the leadership whenever the grassroots showed up, and we had a super majority and changed the rules. We got rid of the things that they were using to hold against us. We got rid of all the Charity, replaced the Rhino establishment, long-serving. Pam Pollard, got rid of her. Wayne got rid of Steve, the other guy that was, we got rid of the Republican National Committee man, put our guy in there. And then Wayne, he took out the vice chair that was stabbing me in the back. That was my vice chair the whole time with the rest of the establishment Republicans. And now, as Charity said earlier, the last piece we need is the chairman. And they asked me to run, and I appreciate their confidence. And a lot of people asked me to run for it, and I reluctantly said I would because I knew we needed a grassroots conservative patriot. But I wasn't at peace with it, like I was when I ran for state rep the first time and won, and state chairman the first time and won, because I knew God was calling me to do it, and I didn't feel at peace this time. And finally, the Lord, it was very clear to me, it's not my season, it's someone else's season, and it was very clear to me it was Charity's season. So I talked to Wayne and Charity. And Charity agreed that the Lord had been speaking to her as well. So she confirmed that for me, and I guess I confirmed that for her. And Wayne, he'd been in prayer with us as well. And Wayne was basically said, I'm planting the flag, I'm running as the vice chair, and we're gonna take care of business. So that brings us up to where we are today. And I'm super excited, and I can't wait. The grassroots is taking the party back. They have locked arms at the gates of freedom, and we're going to put freedom back on the offensive where it belongs in Oklahoma. And then we're going to inspire other states to do the same. And we're going to take this constitutional republic back.
Amen.
And we're going to work our way from the bottom up as President Trump works from his top side down. We're going to meet in the middle, and we will have a God bless nation again. No doubt about it. And these are exciting times.
Well, it is. It's very exciting, and it's critical. I mean, we don't have a free country if we don't take it back at the local level. I mean, at the end of the day, the feds could do what they do, but it's the people you live next to. It's the place that you live. I mean, the local is everything. Now, John, let me ask you real quick. When you said when you ran for Congress, now obviously you're a legit MAGA conservative. What kind of problems did you have with the GOP, if any? Were they supporting you as hard as they should have?
They weren't supporting me at all. The establishment, the governor of Oklahoma, the U.S. senator that I endorsed against, and others at the federal and state level, they lowered the guns on me and just let me have it, primarily through funding these super PACs or these dark PACs that were attacking me with blatant lies. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the things that was coming out of them. At being the state rep, I had the district I lived in. I won that overwhelmingly. I mean, it was overwhelming. I won that district, but people knew me here. They didn't know me in some of these. District 2, the congressional district, is massive. It's the whole eastern end of the state of Oklahoma. Yeah, it's massive. So they didn't know me, and I didn't have the money to counter what they were attacking me with, and it worked. They pummeled me.
But this is what they do, right? And this is what I'm trying to tell people, and I want people to hear this. Why is this important? So John, you got John here, who is a pastor. He was a state leader, state rep, all these different things, a proven MAGA conservative, right? A proven, not a theoretical, not a he's okay, he might be all right. We've got a proven MAGA conservative. And what happens? The GOP in the reddest state in the union doesn't just fail to support him, they actively undermine him and go against him. This is how the GOP does things. This is why it's so important that we get Charity and John in, because at the end of the day, the people that the party controls the money controls who's there. And it's, right now we've got a situation in many, if not most states, where the GOP is ran by rhino sellouts, and they go wherever the big money pushes them to go, whether it's left, right, or middle. They don't stand on principle, they stand on money. And so when it's incumbent upon us, if we want to be free and see a true mega America, that we get mega people running the GOP, because otherwise, we have what we've had. So
I do want to say, so John has agreed to be a huge part of this administration, but Wayne is running as vice chair, and he is going to be amazing. Let me tell you, the hits that he's taken when we censured Jimmy Lankford, remember that? We made national news doing that. Our current chair completely ignored that, and they shot Wayne, shot him through like 100 times. They hated him. The establishment, the rhinos, of course, the Democrats, they just came after him because we censured Lankford for making that deal with Schumer. Remember that?
Yeah.
Tom, we talked about that on the show. We had Wayne on talking about it. Whenever you're standing up for truth, when you are standing up for integrity, they want to kill you. It's amazing to me. But we have to take the party back, because even though we censured Lankford, we made the news doing that, but it's not because the chairman did anything. It's what the will of the people wanted. But he completely ignored us. They didn't agree with us. He actually put out statements that said, that's not a legitimate censure. It was a legitimate censure. If he doesn't like it, he just ignores it. I mean, Wayne was his vice chair, and he completely ignored him. They don't give a crap about the will of the people. They don't believe in a bottom-up structure, and they don't even believe in a top-down structure if they don't agree with who's in place. It's disgusting. It really is.
Well, this is the problem, right? The only structure they care about is the one that puts money in their pocket. I mean, it's not about structure; it's about corruption, and that's it, right? So, the way the laws work and the way everything's done, there is so much room and so much ability for the party apparatus to partake in corruption. It's mind-blowing. I mean, the way the campaigns are financed and the funding for the political parties, it is just sick, the corruption. So we've got to have people of principle that will stand and fight on this. So what's the plan, Charity and John, Wayne? What are you guys you're gonna get in there? And what's your first steps? What's your next steps? What do you want to do?
Well, the first thing we're going to have to do is figure out what's going on with the money. Remember, we talked a few weeks ago about how there's another censure against this current chair because he refuses to let the budget committee see any financial documents, right? It's the budget committee's job. And so we've got to figure out what's going on with that. We have a huge FEC fine because the establishment is so crooked. That goes back to Pam Pollard's administration that John Bennett was talking about. Well, so we've got to figure out what is and isn't necessary. And we've got to make this party a bottom-up party that is a functioning party that has integrity while we're holding our legislators accountable and building precincts. And, Wayne and I are going to help each other, but he wants to focus on building the precincts and holding the legislators accountable. And I'm going to focus on making the party functioning and bringing integrity and transparency back the way it should be. And we'll help each other out. But that's how you get something done, is saying, hey, I'm not going to spread myself so thin. You do this, I'll do that, and we'll build and fight at the same time. Fight, build, fight, build. And I believe it's going to be a beautiful thing for Oklahoma and for America as we show what the Republican Party is supposed to be. The platform means something. Those are our values. We put God first because first of all, I put God first anyway, you know that. Yeah. But it's also in our platform. Our platform are biblical values, and those need to be upheld. Wayne, I did not mean to speak for you. Please speak to that.
No, you're fine, Charity. I appreciate you explaining it. So, Tom, what Charity will do is bring accountability and transparency to the party, rebuild our party, which is badly in disrepair. My job is going to actually concentrate on the state legislature. We came up with a scorecard. We looked at every single piece of legislation in 2023 and 2024. In 2023, we looked at 115 pieces of legislation that could be compared to our Republican platform. And then we scored the votes. We did the same thing in 2024, but we looked at 250 pieces of legislation. Think about that. 250 pieces of legislation, and we scored it according to their vote. So at the end of the day, in 2023, the average Democrat had a score out of 100, 100 being a perfect score. The average Democrat scored in the mid-20s. Well, so what do you think the Republicans, what their average score was?
the teens? No, I'm joking, but
actually it was in the 30s. On both evaluations. So the first thing you have to do is educate the voter. And so that's what we're doing. But we have several other things we're going to look at also to educate the voters. And so that's going to be my concentration. Educating the voters, and then also bring that information to them, but then also getting the right candidates to primary the sellout Republicans. And then we have a whole strategy and a foundation structure to actually support these candidates. And those things are being put into place right now. I'm very excited that I just got a report this morning from someone that looks at the ongoing vote in our legislature. For the first time, we've improved on the amount of no votes voting for legislation since it's been recorded. That's never occurred before. Usually the Republicans vote 96% of the time, they vote yes on a piece of legislation. We're down to 90. And so we're making progress. That's a huge, you'd think, oh, that's not that much, but it's a change of momentum. It's a change in the voting pattern. And so but we've won like 8 or 9 strategic elections in the primary. And that is changing the makeup of our state legislature. And so they have some individuals. We only had like 3 or 4 guys that were actually good conservative state legislators, but now we've increased that to like 10 or 11. So now we're building that foundation so they can support one another. And the momentum is changing, Tom. But it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So what you're seeing is you're seeing this grassroots making a huge difference. I had a state legislator tell me about a week ago, he says, the legislature is very nervous about what the grassroots is doing because we're exposing them. And also we're coming against them, we're winning. So at the end of the day, this is something that we have just begun.
Well, what's funny with what you were saying on that, Wayne, is the establishment will come to me, and I've had several of them come to me. John and Wayne, you probably heard it too. They say, the legislators tell us that the Republican Party is irrelevant. You guys are irrelevant. And I'm like, no, you are irrelevant. They come to us and they are worried about us because the grassroots are not irrelevant. The current establishment very much is, and you can see the difference with how they act towards us.
Yeah. Well, so I want to so for everybody watching, I want you to understand this. So I travel. We work on legislation in states around the country. We work on, all sorts of things, right? But you got to understand, when you're trying to pass legislation in a state, the key obstacle you've got to overcome is getting the first state to do it. Nobody wants to be the first state to pass legislation, right? Nobody wants to be the first state to pass the COVID vax laws. Nobody wants to be the first to pass the law that would allow us to ban chemical spraying in the skies. Nobody wants to be the first, right? So getting the first is a big deal. That only happens when you have people of principle, when you have people of character, because the laws that we push for are laws of principle, of character, right? So you've got to have people of principle, of character to do that. And if we have one state that can show us how to do that, it will be game-changing nationally, because then everybody wants to be like that state. Everybody wants to be doing the things that state is doing. And so, the Republican Party in Ohio, Yeah. Hey, can you guys look at this law? I don't know. Is anybody else doing it? Yes, Oklahoma. Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look at it. Right. That's how this works. So if we've got one state that's actually governing as MAGA and willing to lead, it changes the dynamic of the entire country. That's why, going back to COVID, you guys remember this. So during COVID, one of the things that was dropped in Fauci's emails is that my governor, Mike DeWine, the crook, Republican, he was picked to be, he was the winner, Fauci's winner of the most likely Republican to sell out and lock down the state, because Mike DeWine is owned by Big Pharma. So when COVID hit, they had to get a Republican governor to sell out. Otherwise, it just looked like a partisan nonsense. Mike DeWine was the guy. Now, fast forward, and the same thing is held true a bunch of times. As you know, one state does it, the others follow along. And particularly when it divides into a Democrat-Republican issue, the Republican states will follow Republicans, Democrats will follow Democrats. So if we can get a good hard red MAGA state that's passing legislation that actually reflects the values of Americans, that's game changing on a national level. Charity, you're a national committee woman. I mean, you're working with the national party a lot. I mean, you see this, right? I mean, you got to see this when y'all are talking.
Well, yeah, I believe you're going to have to take back the Republican Party so the legislators have somebody to answer to. Right now, nobody's drawing the line. Nobody is standing up and saying, you have to adhere to our platform. And so they're able to do what they want. They're in bed with each other, right? So you've got the legislators actually funding the party. One of the first things we did was take the legislators off of the state committee. But how can we hold them accountable if they get a vote in the room? We want to support them, but we also want to hold them accountable. And we've got to quit electing politicians. You know, I've told you how the budget committee censured our current chairman, and we're going to be asking the convention to do the same. I have had several call me and say, you should distance yourself from that censure because there'll be people less likely to vote for you. I'm telling you, I'm not a politician and I don't care. That's a hill I'm willing to die on, and what's right has to be more important than whether or not you're going to get a vote. And
Principle over party.
I'm going to draw the line. And if somebody doesn't vote for me because I'm standing on this side of that line, then so be it. They probably should vote for the other guy anyway if they don't want that kind of righteousness and they don't want someone to stand up. But we have got to quit electing politicians and elect people that love God more than their country, people that want righteousness. Not more than their country, more than power. People that love their country more than power, more than favor. It can't be a prideful thing. It has to be about what's best for the party, for the country. So if we will quit electing politicians and elect people with integrity, we're going to get farther. And you've got to take back the party first to have that standard.
Yeah. Well, you know, in a lot of ways, you're better off taking losing a seat here or there than putting the wrong person in that seat. I mean, you know, the worst enemy is the guy that's stabbing you in the back. John, I'm guessing, and I think your experience is critical in this because you've held all these positions and ran for everything. I mean, how bad has it been in Oklahoma? The thing that's important about it is it's the reddest state in the union. You would think there would be no problems in the GOP, but you run for Congress, they don't back you. What's your experience on this, and what do you think it'll be different with Charity and Wayne there kind of tag teaming it?
Well, as you can probably tell by my facial reactions, I'm super excited about this team here. I mean, these guys have been working in the trenches a long time. They've got the grassroots. The grassroots is rising up. Took back the party. Want to get back the chairmanship in May of this year. I'm super excited about it. You know, if I had my way, Tom, I think we messed up when they passed the 17th Amendment. They should repeal that because prior to that, these U.S. senators were elected by the state legislature, and their primary duty was to protect states' rights. Well, we've lost those because the states elected have given all that power, even though they don't have the right to, given all that power to the federal government. So when the federal government is rogue, like it was with the Obama administration, the Biden administration, they encroach over in our state and we have no real protections, especially if the state party is not there and standing up. If the state party is there and they're supporting the politicians that are ceding all these rights and powers to a federal government that don't belong to the federal government, we've got a huge problem. We become a communist state instead of a free state. But thank God these guys are stepping up. The grassroots is stepping up. What's different about it now versus when I was there was the budget committee, all the committees, the executive committee, Republican National Committee man, committee woman, the vice chair, they all were establishment controlled. And every day they were stabbing me in the back. Every day they were talking to people about calling a state committee meeting so they could vote to try to boot me out. I mean, it was unreal. But now, because of these guys' works and the patriots across the state of Oklahoma, now we, the grassroots, control everything except the chairmanship, which we'll get in May. And once we do that, you're going to see a whole new, I call it free Oklahoma, here in the state of Oklahoma. That's the only way that we can get back where we need to be. And it's the only way, I don't know who's going to come after President Trump or if they'll be as good as him, but if they're not, we'll have the ability with a strong state party to wall off our state and protect ourselves from an overreaching federal government until we can push back and get somebody else in there like President Trump. So it all works the way it's supposed to work. And our state legislature right now is a complete train wreck. Well, the Democrats figured out, because the state party failed or had an unwritten rule you can't endorse in a primary. The Democrats were smart enough to figure out, hey, if we just change to an R, they'll push us through because we got all the money we need and we can still hold on to those same values in the legislature. And we're seeing the intentional outcome of that today in our state legislature. As Wayne said, there's maybe 10 at best real conservatives in the legislature, but although a supermajority controlled by Republicans, but yet you see all the conservative things being killed and all these Democrat type bills and communist type laws being passed because those Democrats got in there just by simply putting an R behind their name. Yep. And the gatekeeper was the state party. Yes. Now they don't have that door anymore. So now we've closed the door. Now we can go, as Wayne and Charity's plan is to do, educate voters, fortify the precincts of the counties and the state as a whole, and hold those state legislators accountable. Even though they're going to have money pouring in, try to keep their seats, start pushing them out with the vote of the people. And then we can truly get back to a grassroots, constitutional, patriotic, Christian state that this state is supposed to be and had been for quite some time.
Well, there are a bunch of interesting things there, but you talk about the money flowing in. The money's flowing in from the Democrat side. That's the irony to this whole thing. It's an insane thing. But I will also say, it's interesting that. Well, I'm curious about this because you mentioned that all the committees and stuff were stabbing you in the back at the time. Now, Charity's been working on Freedom Brigades for a long time. They've been busting their hump on this. I mean, and we're big supporters, so I'm biased, right? So we're big within the Freedom Brigades. But to me, I think the game changers, you got the Freedom Brigades out there, and you have a huge grassroots presence in Oklahoma that the Freedom Brigades has captured, and they've been able to take these committees one at a time. I mean, and for anybody that doesn't know, Charity is literally out there one seat at a time, taking spot after spot after spot. I mean, she's a one-woman wrecking ball out there doing this crazy amount of stuff. And I mean, what do you think? I mean, that's what I'm seeing.
But that's truly not. That's truly not. So there are a lot of people that they are knocking doors. This is a movement of thousands of people across the state that are working together. I believe it's a God-led movement. So we started doing the brigades in the communities, and they spread, and they're taking back their communities. Wayne started instituting the Freedom Brigades on a national level when he won 2 years ago. And so but there's people like Linnell, we had her on my show, that went and found the people that didn't want to participate in the party because it was swampy. And she said, we need you. And so the people that were saying no, she got them to say yes. She's a stubborn one that is hard, doesn't take a no very easily. We have people that taught parliamentary procedure, like Sarah Burnett. I learned parliamentary procedure.
That is the Freedom Brigade. I don't want to argue, disagree with you, Charity, but that is the brigades. That's the point of the brigades: is power to the people.
It is the point of the purpose. Yes, it is the point.
That is precisely the point. And since Charity started the brigades, I'm just going to it's my show, so I can do this. Since Charity has started the brigade, she's all humble about this. And if you know Charity, she really is. Charity is a wonderful woman. She is a good, God-loving person. She is extremely humble. And I'm going to tell you, I go to every state in this country. I literally have been okay. I haven't made it to Alaska and Hawaii yet, but I mean, I'm all over the place. The brigades are a very unique thing, and they've had a huge impact. And I'm not saying that every person that's had an impact is a brigade member. What I'm saying is they've had a phenomenal impact. And the question I had and the question I have for John, because I knew Charity would poo-poo this, is I think that to me, I understand not every single person is from the brigades, and not every single good thing that's happens from Charity, but I think it's been a huge impact, at least from the outside looking in. And I think that going in and having, my point is that taking it from the bottom up, one county, one precinct at a time, and having worked up, and that is what the brigades do, is a game changer. And I think that's why you wouldn't have all these committees that are going to stab you in the back when you get there now. What do you think about this, John?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the bullseye, Tom, as usual. I guess I could probably sum it up very easily this way. I spent a career in the Marine Corps, and I used to tell my Marines all the time, you lead people when you manage things. And if you can do both, it makes you a fantastic leader. And I used to tell them all the time, your people are a direct reflection of your leadership. So as humble as Wayne and Charity are, and I really appreciate that about them, the fact of the matter is, and there's a lot of folks out there doing some hard work, their leadership is reflected down there at the grassroots, the local level. And because of their leadership and guidance, these folks have got a vision, a dream. They've got a goal, and they've been empowered by their leadership.
Amen.
Charity and Wayne's leadership. And because of that, they've risen up and they've taken those things back to the local level, which I think is your point. It's got to be at the local level, got to have good leadership. And the brigades have done that. They put these people together. They've shown them leadership. They've led them, guided them, and encouraged them. And now this is where we're at today because of it.
I do want to emphasize, though, the individuals that contribute to this movement. It's not just Charity and I do. We have people like Linnell Medley, Karen Harden, Dee Dobson, and they work their tails off. And what we do is we ask them to do something, and they do a consummate job of actually day and night bringing people to the table to go to these meetings and to recruit people to knock on doors. I mean, without their efforts, Charity and I would not accomplish anything.
That's right.
You know what the hallmark of leadership is? Being willing to let your team take the credit for what they accomplish. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you guys can tell me this and you can say this, but I can crow about you all I want. At the end of the day, you're right. And I see this all over. No one succeeds without having on an island. Everybody has to have a team. The thing about it is, though, is a good coach knows how to inspire and to position and to put their players in the right spot. And at the end of the day, the reason people are supporting both of you is because you do inspire them. You're standing on principle. You're doing what's right over what's easy, and you're fighting. And I can't. So we got Pastor John here. You tell me if I got this right. You sit at the end of the table. And you're honored when someone tells you to move up, right? You don't take a seat at the head of the table. And that's leadership, right? That's leadership. That's a foundation of leadership. You don't wait for everybody to high five you. You don't care if they high five you. You guys are fighting because you're fighting. This is why I'm supporting you guys, right? The way you answer those questions is why I'm supporting you guys. I talk to politicians all the time. You know how many politicians would have answered those questions that way? You know how many politicians would have said, no, it's not me. It's not me. No, you're wrong, Renz. It's not me. It's someone else. I mean, the reason that the people of Oklahoma are supporting you guys is because of who you are. It's a rare thing in politics to see that. And I'm very proud to call you guys friends. I'm very proud to stand and support you guys however I can. And I'm very, very proud to tell everybody, these two have led They have earned this. They deserve this. And I pray that we the people of Oklahoma, will support you guys and make sure that you guys are leading that state, because I absolutely believe that these two will lead that state back to MAGA, clean out the crap. You know, we broke the story here a long time ago. We found the funding. We found how it is that the Democrats are funding, literally funding Democrats to change that D to an R, like you said, Wayne, and run as Republicans. Billionaire Democrats are doing this around the country. They actually, there are schools we found where they train Democrats to talk like Republicans so that they can run as a Republican. They're literally training Democrats to lie to the public, run as Republicans, get in, and then screw everybody. That's what's happening. And in states like Oklahoma, it's prevalent because you're not going to win if you got a D by your name in Oklahoma. You just aren't. So what they do is they just cross out the D and put an R, but they're still D. And so, principle is the key. And I always say with elected officials, you cannot put party over principle, but they won't. The elected officials will not have to if the party is based on principle. That's what we have the opportunity to do here in Oklahoma. Then the party can hold these guys to account when they are not principled. The party can make sure that they're not funded, that there's no R by their name, that that these guys, that they're vetted, and that the endorsement comes after they're vetted, and that they're actually Republicans, not some Democrat loon who's been trained to run as a Republican. So this is a huge, huge deal. And while I appreciate both your humility, I think you're rock stars. So you're going to have to deal with that. We actually, that's why we dedicated a whole show to this, because we need this happening everywhere. It's got to happen in every state. We'll finish up here in Oklahoma. But the good news is that the Freedom Brigades have hit a lot of states around the country. They're you plant the seed, right? And if the seed happens to one of those parable things, I might have read that book a time or two. But if the seed lands in good soil, and the conditions are right, it'll foster a whole plant coming up, and it'll foster germinate and grow, and that's what we're seeing. So we get the seeds of the Freedom Brigades planted in every state. We get people fighting like you guys have done, and we got a chance to retake our country and make it MAGA again. But it's and I like all your reactions to this. One of my greatest fears, November, even bigger than Trump, right, was that if Trump wins, will the grassroots take their shoes off and sit down and just we're done? And I've been ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic, to see that they have not. Because ultimately the Trump agenda, the MAGA agenda, the We the People agenda, Trump alone can't do it. MAGA is not Trump. MAGA is everybody. It's all of our duties and responsibilities. Trump coined it. Trump leads it. But it is the duty of each and every one of us to fight for MAGA. And I was very worried whether that was going to, whether that was going to happen. But it looks to me like the grassroots they're still going. They're almost more inspired now. What do you guys think?
I agree with you on that. I was worried about it as well. I think they understand that we're at war. We've been infiltrated. And like you said, one person can't do it. He's going to cover us, but we have to run the ground while he's covering us. And I do think people understand it. One of the best things that could have happened, unfortunately, was the stolen election, because people could not close their eyes to how bad it is anymore and how infiltrated we are. And they, I think, understand that we have no choice but to stay active and fight back to save the republic.
I love the shirt.
Tom, here's my answer right here. This started in Charities County. Charity, can you read that?
They know this story. We will not sit down and shut up.
That's exactly right. We've just begun.
Yeah. Well,
right.
That's it. That's it. John, what are you seeing in your church? People getting tired? They taking the day off?
Oh no, definitely not. I won't let them. But they're not. They're inspired, and we all know. I mean, we were this close, literally, to becoming a communist, full-blown communist nation, and the fight's not over.
No.
Because according to Mao's political warfare, they're in it for the long game, and we got to be too. And it starts at home and in the church, and also through the political line of operation, these state parties, local politics, and others. We got to stay engaged. And some of the leaders that should be leaders within the local community are the pastors. And I fault them for a lot of the things that happened because they didn't stand behind the pulpit and preach the unadulterated word of God and tell the people this is what our nation was built upon, and this is what we got to stick to. We can't allow this. But they got complacent and allowed it because they didn't want to make nobody mad. Well, I'm not here to make friends with everybody. I'm here to stand on his word, because if we keep his word in this nation, this will continue to be a God-blessed nation. And if we take it out, like it did for the past couple of administrations with Obama and Biden, we see the outcome of that. We saw it, and it terrified me. And it did them too. And so they're ready. They're still on guard, and they're still pushing forward.
That is a wonderful thing. I'm glad to hear that you're still seeing the people fighting. I mean, I've observed. I've been very impressed. I've been very excited to see. I mean, yeah, you can look at social media, and you can tell what's trending. And hey, you're not doing enough of this. You're not doing it. All the frustration. Everybody's waiting for the perp walks and for the arrests, and the frustration that hasn't happened yet. That's great. I encourage that. We want to keep that pressure up. I want to keep pressure up every day until it happens, and I want people to be excited and pushing. That's how we get things done. That's what we've got to do. So, Charity, Wayne, God bless you guys. I mean, I think it goes without saying we endorse everything you're doing. We love what you're doing. We support you guys. If we can help you in any way, shape, or form, it's a given. It's a given. So whatever we can do, John, thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for your service. Thank you for continuing to push the word of God and to try and help people to be better. Folks, I don't know, mail in your ballots to Virginia or to Oklahoma. Can we mail in? Can we vote
We're not cheating, Tom. Sorry, we're not Democrats. There'll be no cheating.
No proxies in Oklahoma, Tom.
Right, Charity? No proxies. We got rid of those right away too.
No mail in voting for you guys, because I was thinking, I might be a former Oklahoma resident then. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, all right. I appreciate you guys all. Best of luck. We will be there supporting in any way we can. If you guys are in Oklahoma, especially, make sure you get this show out. You've got to get this information out. We need people to vote, right? The grassroots will win this easy if they vote. But you got to get your butt out and vote. You got to do this, and it'll make a big difference. So thanks, guys. We will be back very soon.